Staying together is progress. Working together is success.
That's a nice quote actually. Do you know why we are here today?
Of course, everyone does. We are having the international conference
with an international chief guest who is none other than Mr. Sriram Suresh, Director in Finance Mastercards in Canada. Hi sir. And our most respected principals, respected deans, respected head of the department, respected faculty, and my dear energetic and enthusiastic participants. Let's start our sessions by giving a big round of applause. So nice of you. Thank you. A very blissful morning to one and all gathered here. I'm Shobna of second year MBA.
And I'm Deepalakshmi of first year MBA.
It's a colossal pleasure to be the host of today's program. On behalf of Veltech Hightech Dept, Dr. Shakuntala Engineering College, Department of Management Science, in association with Engineering College, Department of Management Science, Institution Innovation Council cordially invites you for the International Conference on Paradigm Shift and Emerging Trends in Indian Banking System.
Conferences are amazing opportunities for companies and organizations to come together to share their ideas and successes. These meetings bring together the best and brightest to solve modern day issues, ranging from improving business acumen to taking some of the world's biggest problems by exchanging ideas. First of all, I want to thank all of you for connecting this morning, and I hope you are looking forward to the discussions as much as I am.
A day without prayer is a day without blessing. A life without prayer is a life without power. So, to start with, we need to thank the Almighty God for His graces and blessings through a prayer song.
If you light a lamp for someone else, it will also brighten your path. Lighting of Kutuvilakku will lead us to positive light from the negative darkness of life. Now, I invite our distinguished chief guest of the day, most respected principal, respected HOD sir, and other dignitaries to join and lighten the Kutuvilakku.
Fun is best part of any occasion. I request our astonishing head of the department, Dr. Suresh Kumar sir, to deliver the welcome address.
If you don't have a functioning financial system, the world economy won't be revived. All the major economies have their responsibility to assist at a pace which is required to clean up the balance sheet of the banking system and to ensure that credit flows are resumed by Dr. Manmohan Singh, former Prime Minister of India. A pleasant afternoon to everyone on this August presence of one-day international conference on paradigm shifts and emerging trends in Indian banking system, organizing by Department of MBA in association with Institution Innovation Council, Veltech Hightech Dr. Rangarajan, Dr. Shakuntala Engineering College. I feel extremely privileged and honored to be given this opportunity to welcome our Honorable Chief Patron, Colonel Professor Dr. Velshri R. Rangarajan, Founder, President and Chairman, and Dr. Srimati Shakuntala Rangarajan, Vice Chairman, Mrs. Mahalakshmi Kishore Kumar, Chairperson and Managing Trustee, Mr. KVD Kishore Kumar, Vice President, Veltech Group of Institutions. I deem it a pride and privilege to welcome our Honorable, the most respected Principal, Professor Dr. E. Kamalanaban sir, who has been a source of constant driving and motivation at all times, and under his impeccable guidance and directions, we are proud to organize this one-day international conference. We welcome you, sir. I am honored and privileged to welcome the dynamic, energetic, and eminent international speaker, Mr. Sriram Suresh, Director, Mastercards, Ontario, Canada, for giving his benign consent and graceful presence on this August occasion. We are happily welcome you, sir. I am glad to welcome our deans, HODs, and faculty members and others to this conference. I take this opportunity to welcome the faculty members and students of other colleges and students from Veltech Hightech for evincing interest to participate in the international conference. I also take pride in welcoming our diligent and agile faculty members and student coordinators. Once again, I welcome you all. About the conference, brief for 1 minute. Indian banking system is one of the most vibrant banking systems in the world with a total GDP of $2.67 trillion, catering the needs almost 140 crore population. The role of banking in catering the financial needs of Indian citizens increased manifold after the initiation of direct bank transfer, unified payment interfaces and other fee-based financial services. Indian banking system is one of the robust banking system that underwent huge transformation from the typical accepting and lending to various arenas. This conference emphasizes about the recent trends emerged in Indian banking system and the drastic changeover that Indian banking sector underwent. Sub-themes of the conference as follows: digitalization of Indian banking system, unified payment interface and ease of doing business, seed funding, angel funding and venture capital in India, export financing by banks, Indian versus global context, digital marketing and its growth pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, neuro marketing, primitive tourism, present and roadmap ahead, moonlighting, gig workforce and managerial challenges, HR analytics, global versus Indian scenario, servant leadership in human resources management and ergonomics. Once again, I heartily welcome one and all to this one-day international conference. Have a wonderful time in acquiring good and recent trends in technology transformation in Indian banking system from the eminent resource persons, Mr. Sriram Suresh in the forenoon session and Mr. G. Natarajan, Senior Executive Vice President and Regional Head Credit of Kotak Mahindra Bank in the afternoon session. Have a nice day. Thank you all.
A stimulating speech, sir.
Felicitation is inspiration to others and motivation to whom you are felicitating. I request our Honorable Principal to felicitate our astonishing chief guest with memento, shawl and sapling.
Sir, sir. Sir, sir. Sir, இங்க பாருங்க சார்.
A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way and shows the way. It is my immense pleasure to welcome our most respected principal, Professor Dr. E. Kamalnathan sir, a goal-oriented, dedicated, diligent and highly motivated principal with an excellent academic and administrative track record, successfully unleashing his potential to elevate the faculty and student community with high spirits of values of higher education. We request you to address the gathering, sir.
Honorable Founder, President and Chairman, Colonel Professor Dr. Veltri R. Rangarajan, Founders and Vice Chairman Dr. Shakuntala Rangarajan, Chairperson and Managing Trustee Mrs. Rangarajan Mahalakshmi Kishore, our Vice President Mr. KVD Kishore Kumar, our distinguished Chief Guest Mr. Sriram Suresh, Director of Finance, Mastercards, Ontario, Canada. Our Dean and Head of MBA, Professor Dr. Suresh Kumar. Other heads and professors and our own faculty of MBA, program organizers, student coordinators, and participants from outside colleges. Very good afternoon. Very good afternoon. Aha. Somewhere in you now, school days. When I was studying in my, somewhere 6th, 7th in government school, from 6th to 10th, I studied in government high school actually. Okay. Appo, and the classroom in the sound, Vanakkam sir, is it right? Huh? We used to get that sound. Adi ipna kekren ondite. Nice, nice, good. This is the one-day international conference on paradigm shifts and emerging trends in Indian banking system. I am not a specialized MBA finance to talk about and to give you a speech on this conference or something. I did not work in a banking sector to deliver a speech on what's happening in Indian banking system. Okay. But anyway, whatever I know, that I can say to you. With the title, I understand the emerging trends. In general, you are all aware for the past 3-4 years what's happening in Indian banking system all over India. Something would have heard a word called merging of banks. Merging of banks. In a simplified manner I am saying, not going into technical terms what the bankers are, the finance people or a person who is director finance, what he is going to say. I am not getting into that level in a deeper way to say something about. It's like a learned language, everybody can understand what's happening in India with this banking system. Something called merging of 3 or 4 banks. 3 or 4 banks with the one bank, which comes like, for example, to say our Bank of Baroda. Our Bank of Baroda got merged with Vijaya Bank and some others, Dina Bank or something like that. Is it right? Something like that, the government of India wants to merge and to give a best service and to want to have a good balance sheet. The strength of the balance sheet, the in and outflow of the transactions. Okay, the income and expenditure. You also know the the Modi passionately he was saying from the beginning 2014 something called Digital India. What is called Digital India? So what's happening with the Digital India? Even during pandemic, during COVID-19 season, the past 2 years or 2.5 years time, even people who are not in touch with the online mechanism of transferring their transactions, right, who do not know what is PhonePe, what is Google Pay, right, what is NEFT, what is RTGS, right, what is ECS, so many things, the kind of transactions that you can transact through online. So this has become very familiar. This has become very familiar. A layman who is not educated, a layman who is uneducated is able to transfer their money from one end to the other end. From one end to the other end. You have got lot of mobile app, applications to use, ease of use. What is it? Ease of use. That doesn't require any prerequisites. The knowledge for a layman. Knowledge for a layman. When you go on click something, automatically, it asks something, a user, what to say, login, password mechanism, what the people, they get into their mobiles. Their password. A password. Similar to that, the applications where it has got some login ID, password, they get into that and go for their transactions from one bank to the other, or within the bank, right? Or with their friends, neighboring, want to transfer through, what to say, that the mobile phone with a registered mobile number. With a registered mobile number. What is the ease of use? You see that in the banking sector, the modern technology, the technology development has taken so much for the people to transact money. So, but what's happening behind the process? We are unaware. We are totally unaware. What the GPay mechanism does, we do not know. Blindly, what to say that just we, press the buttons. What is there? The options. The options available in the, what to say that, the application. The mobile banking system. The mobile banking system. Either with UPI or with that of your registered mobile phone number, or directly you put a account number of somebody and where you transfer from your account. What is so easy for the people to transact a kind of transactions, the money? When you want to register for a conference, just like that, you are sending through Google Pay. You are just like when I give you a phone number in the conference pamphlet, by seeing that number, just you are paying through GPay, or a phone pay, or when I give an account number, just you are 14 or 16 digit number, just you are entering it and giving an IFSC code, and then you are transferring your money. Is it right? There are so many things today, from where you are sitting, the place, from location, from that point you are able to send your money to US. Seconds, fraction of seconds, it is getting delivered, the message, yes, got credited so much amount, right? So that is what the modern world, where you are living now, we have to say thanks to Modi also, the kind of initiative that is taken by him with this digital India. Even today, the employees and the employer with the PF, Provident Fund, or the gratuity, or whatever the emoluments that goes to the employee, automatically everything comes in online. When an employee want to take a loan with their PF amount, just get into the online of that Provident Fund link, apply, and what amount you want for your emergency purpose, take it as a loan. In earlier days, people have to go to their offices. PF office, beg the people, give some money for them, and to disburse the amount immediately. There are so many things. Now almost 90% of the transactions which happens through online. There are so many technologies, that is, behind this banking sectors. There are so many engineers who are working in banking sectors as support engineers, or in software development side. in banking sectors. In banking sectors, majority the kind of network in in banking sectors, you see several lakhs of engineers are working. Several lakhs of engineers are working in support side, service side. You think that in Tamil Nadu or India several lakhs are going, taking an employment with the different organizations? Majority that goes with the banking sector. Majority that goes with the banking sector, where they employ. When you have a problem, when you go for a customer care, when you make a call, there may be a BA graduate or an MBA graduate who is answering for the query. Who is answering for the query. Hi gentlemen, what do you want? You get a reply from a person, support service engineer, something called a banker, a supporter. Where he clears your query. Where he clears your query. So that is how now today the needs of this emerging trends in Indian banking system, knowingly or unknowingly, people we walk through, but what's happening in reality we do not know. In reality we do not know. Just we are end users. Just we make use of products, services, everything. But what is the technology behind? What's happening? What is the revolution? Now, what is the technology advancement, the development which is happening? Is it really we are able to know something in that? As this is relevant to this MBA, management and business administration. The people who are here, the students who are here. For you, it is must the knowledge. What's happening in banking domain? What's happening in banking domain? You all know, you have to get in. When you go for a second year, coming out with some specializations, something like HR, MBA, HR specialization, or finance, or systems, right? Marketing, something you say, logistics. But it's not that going to second year and then, getting into specialization. But with the interest, when you decide, when you take up a course, the program, the MBA in the beginning, that you have to make your mind very clear that which is the domain you are going to work. Which is the domain which you are going to work. So from day one you can work into that. You can work on that. From day one you can work on to that. Not waiting for 12 months. My dean says, my head says, sir, which is good, sir? What's happening, sir? Which domain I want to take, sir? No, sir. Everything is available, right? When you put a query, you are able to get something out of your Google. Lot of survey mechanisms. So what's happening in the world? Where are the market? Which is now talk of the town. What is wanted now, today? So where to go? Which is the specialization that helps us to make life more easier and demandable always, right? So that one you have to take it. That one you have to take it. Not to depend on so long time with the people, what they say, expecting something from third party. So self-learning is required much more to explore yourself. Self-learning gives much more confidence for the people, where you acquire more and more of knowledge. Not getting from others. But what is your strength? What is your strength? Plus and minus. When you assess that, really great something that you are doing. You are working on that. First we should know what's our weakness. We should know what's our weakness. How to improve. How to improve and how to make it plus. How to make it plus. Where you want to stand yourself. Where you want to stand yourself. How active you are. How active participation you are in the activities conducted by the Department of Management Studies. Day by day, what is your plus? Or day by day, how you are converting your weakness into strength. Weakness into strength. So when you have some progress, you will feel some happiness with you. Then you will become more active. If it is not happening, you cannot be active. You will be demotivated more and more. Your concentration goes elsewhere. Somewhere. You cannot. Body is here. Mind is somewhere. Body is here. Something say physically present, but mentally something absent. Okay. So something like that. My dear managers, we're all managers. You need to have managerial skills. Thrill. You should have some thrill in life. தெரியலன்னா கூட some thrill இருக்கணும் இல்ல லைஃப்ல. கொஞ்சம் தெரியும், நிறைய தெரியாது. இருந்தாலும் ஒரு thrill வேணும் இல்ல லைஃப்ல. இல்லனா அது வந்து இன்ட்ரஸ்டிங்கா இருக்காது லைஃப் வந்துட்டு. சுவாரஸ்யமா இருக்காது லைஃப் வந்து. இல்லனா ஒரு மந்தமா ஒரு இன்ஆக்டிவா ஒரு என்ன சொல்றது சோர்ந்து போய் இருக்கிற மாதிரியே இருக்கும். கரெக்ட்டா இல்லையா? அப்படி இருந்தா என்ன பண்ண முடியும்? ஒண்ணுமே பண்ண முடியாது. You have to be very active. You have to be a self-learner. You have to explore many things. You have to acquire knowledge. You have to be very unique with others. You have to sell yourself where you are, what's your demand. Right? So then you can look your life. So great. You will be colorful. So therefore, I think this conference that will give lot of insights, to learn much more, to know about in this banking sector, Indian banking sector. I think Director Finance can give for some extent what's happening throughout the world in banking sectors, lot of ideas, lot of thinking, for the students. So even first years are here. 1 month before you join here, but make use of the opportunities. All the time we need to have something in our mind to learn something, to acquire the knowledge, that makes you more and more stronger, where you can answer for many things when you attend some interviews, or when you go for a forum, or when the department makes you to go and participate in some other colleges, or in some other forums, HR forums, or wherever it may be. So you get some confidence to talk and to deliver, right? So that kind of caliber, capacity that you have to build up. Then you can say, I am an MBA. I am an MBA graduate. So for MBAs, you need to have skills. You need to have your communication, very good communication. You need to have a very good communication. You should be a communicator, very good communicator for convincing many things. When you join in any company. So for which you have to talk. How to talk. Alright? How to talk. The so-called personality development. The language, the style. How you make it yourself. How will you promote yourself. That makes you say that sells you in the market. Otherwise nothing. Don't think that degree will feed you. Only the talent what you acquire, that only will feed you in life. This degree is for just like an entry level for the eligibility's sake. That's all. You are MBA? Yes. Got MBA. You can say with a degree. But not for other 90% of the, the evaluation mechanism. Evaluation mechanism is purely based on your skills, talent, right? How you explore yourself. How you explore yourself. Don't think that when I pass and when I get a degree from this college, elsewhere I will get a job, good job. No, definitely not. Parallelly, you have to make yourself to explore in multiple activities. Multiple activities for gaining talent and knowledge. For gaining talent and knowledge. That only makes you that to give a or to place the student in a good company with a good salary package. With a good salary package. That you keep remember. Don't think that this degree alone will satisfy your needs. Along with the degree, there are so many things to get trained with the activities, what's happening during your academics. MBA is full of with activities. We don't want full of classroom teaching, like where in other areas where they teach something like that up to +2 level, where you see something all the time teaching in the classroom, write exams and scoring marks. So that is different mechanism. That is a different mechanism of scoring marks. So that may help for some extent that for the merit that where you want to go for further studies, either engineering or arts and science or the medicine When you come to your the degree level after +2, it is of more of practice, more of yourself to explore, That is what important. Okay. So with this, I conclude my speech, and the other participants from other colleges, really you have come today here, enjoy and share up, get some inputs, and as well you share your knowledge also in the platform. So therefore that makes you something very different, which is today one day. It's one day. Yeah, it's one day. So enjoy beautifully here on the campus. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Having valuable information about merging of bank, emergence of digital India in the forms of online application like Google Pay, Phone Pay, NEFT, and sharing the information that over 90% of the transactions are taking place through online. Even if we do use these apps on daily basis, we forget to notice that, sir. And thanks for creating a curiosity to know about that more. And as you said, we'll surely take each and every step to identify our areas of improvement and surely work on it, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Deep Lakshmi, don't you think that we are really lucky to have Mr. Sriram Suresh as our chief guest, who has 11 years of rich experience in financial planning and analysis?
Yes, we are really eager and want to know more about them.
To know more about our international chief guest, I call upon Ms. Anjana Subhash of 2nd MBA to give a brief introduction about Mr. Sriram Suresh.
I deem it as a pride and privilege to introduce an eminent guest, Mr. Sriram Suresh, who is a Director of Finance, MasterCard, Canada. He is having experience of more than a decade in the payments, manufacturing, logistics and supply chain sector. Mr. Sriram Suresh has completed Bachelor of Electronics and Communication Engineering at the prestigious Anna University and has done Master of Business Administration and Strategic Management at Southern School of Business, University of British Columbia, Canada. Mr. Sriram Suresh started his career in bioproduct processes as an operation manager for 3 years, and the next 3 years he works as sourcing and contracts lead. And in 2014, Mr. Sriram Suresh worked as finance intern in Marine Division at Seaspan ULC for a year at North Vancouver, Canada. In the year 2016 to 22, he worked in MasterCard as finance manager at Toronto, Canada. And currently, Mr. Sriram Suresh is working as Director of Financial Planning and Analysis in MasterCard at Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We welcome you, sir. Thank you.
It is great, but to be an inspiration is an honor. May I now request our distinguished chief guest, Mr. Sriram Suresh, to share his views and insights.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Anjana, for your kind introduction. Thank you, HOD sir and Principal sir, for inviting me to this one-day international conference. Thank the faculty and the Department of MBA for setting up this conference so that it provides a platform for sharing of ideas. And coming from an MBA myself, I feel that what I hear and listen to people from the industry talk definitely adds value when you go for interviews and when you go for like group interviews, especially because it is very important for you to have something to talk about, because everybody is an MBA, everybody studies the same subjects, and having a general knowledge of how the industry works and of current affairs plays a huge role whether you get hired or not when you go for group interviews. So an MBA, like sir mentioned earlier, is just an entry ticket to get that interview, and how you perform during that interview is completely upon you. What you do in these 2 years, how you take up your own time, and how you spend studying outside of the subjects plays a huge role in getting hired for any interviews for any job. So thank you again, sir, for inviting me for this conference. I wanted to talk to you about how technology has played a role in the evolution of the Indian banking sector. For that, let me go through different phases. So I'll talk about how the Indian banking system evolved pre-independence to date, what are the different type of banks that are currently existing in the market, as well as how technology has evolved over the past 20 years in speeding up the growth of the Indian banking sector, and what we expect the next 5 to 10 years for technology to play a role in it. Because these are the type of things that you would, when you go over, when you become a manager, when you become a director and so on, plays a huge role in what you do. Every day that I go in, my CEO says that our company is in the banking sector, but it's an information technology company, because everything that we do is surrounded by technology. Gone are the days when we work on spreadsheets 24/7. Now we have robotics, we have artificial intelligence to help with all that. Now we are more focused on how do we create new products and services for a certain group of segment that AI tells us. So big data is a very big thing. Whenever you do transact anything, you would have definitely gotten surveys. What is your preferences? For example, I was searching up housing loans randomly. I was just interested to know about housing loans. I was just searching housing loans on my phone. I finished searching that. I came and sat down on the computer. On YouTube, the first advertisement was like about housing loans. Then I finished that. I was talking 2 days later on the post. I got a pamphlet about like the most recent housing loans in your neighborhood. So what you do, what you search for, there's a lot of data behind that and a lot of artificial intelligence and technology behind that to provide you that input. So as a banker, I get reports every day on what the customers are interested in. So it is my job to create a product or a service or a type of loan that's suitable for those customers looking for it. I might be a very select group of customers. I might have a very select group of criteria. I have a certain risk profile, a certain number of dependents, a certain salary range. So what loan is best suited for me? That is my job as a banker to provide. So let's go to the next one, please. Let's talk about the evolution of the Indian banking sector. I would say we can divide it into two separate sections. One is pre-independence and post-independence. Pre-independence period, we had the first banks, Bank of Hindustan, that started in the early 1700s, and this was under the British Empire. Until then, we did not have what we would now call as commercial banks. We had what was called as usuries or kandavati. Like that was like our version of financial sector before the British Empire. So the British Empire set up banks to make it easier for them to trade, to print money. So Bank of Hindustan along with Bank of Bombay, Chennai and Bengal basically were created so that they can print money. So instead of exchanging gold and silver, which was valuable in Europe, they were able to exchange just printed money, which is artificially created value because of the empire. So this continued on all the way till our independence. Reserve Bank of India was created in 1935, just a few years before our independence, to regularize and standardize the whole Indian banking industry under the empire. Post-independence, the Reserve Bank of India maintained its role to standardize the whole Indian banking sector and was assigned the duty of monetary system as a central bank of India. So until 2016, it maintained the role of creating interest rates and maintaining inflation. In 2016, we have the Monetary Committee, which has taken over that role. So this is important because there are a lot of steps over here. So until Aud Commercial Bank, that you can see probably fifth in that row, that was the first bank to be entirely managed by an Indian board of directors. This did not exist until then. Until then, it was completely a British-run economic system. And post-independence, we felt a need for a government control of the economy. Because you have to remember, currently, like Sir mentioned earlier, our annual GDP of India is over 3,000 billion US dollars. Post-independence, even until the 1960s, we were less than 40 billion US dollars. So Elon Musk's current net worth was 5 to 6 times the size of India's national growth for domestic product. So it was that small, and the economy was so sensitive that any amount of money that was pulled in, or if a wealthy investor tries to manipulate the economy, it was very easy. So the banks, the largest 20 commercial banks were nationalized. What that means is they were taken over by the government of India to maintain control of the market, and that continued all the way until the 1990s. So this 40-year period, from the independence till 1990s, the government control provided some amount of direction in where the country should grow. We were focused on agriculture until then. So once we achieved self-sufficiency, we were able to feed ourselves. That's when in 1990 the economic policy changed in 1991 towards liberalization. So what that meant was there was an internal need within the country for a need for liberalization because the growth had slowed down. By the 90s, it was very difficult to get a motorcycle. If you needed to get a motorcycle, you needed to get a receipt and you needed to pay somebody, and the receipt only government employees would have. So there was very hard to get goods and services even though people were earning enough to offer them. So we needed the requirement of foreign capital, entrepreneurs, industrialists to put in their own money to start their own industry so that there was goods and services distributed around the whole economy. Externally, there were two big factors. Internet, which was created in the 70s and 80s, was commercialized in the 90s. So technology was starting to play a big role. Computers were coming into the industry. So technology was a big part of liberalization. So if we needed technology to be imparted not just in the banking industry across all sectors, we needed to have our borders open to bring the technology in. The second thing was World Trade Organization. So WTO is a member organization where all the member states have certain agreements for export and import. And for example, we did not have the technology to manufacture any computer related part until we liberalized. And the only way to get that technology is for a foreign capital to invest their companies over here. You would have heard of Hero Honda. Honda was a foreign company. It partnered with Hero in India and set up a joint venture, and that's where we were able to learn how to make motorcycles. So all the industries around, be it motorcycles, refrigerators, any large industries were created during this period so that we can invite foreign capital. So let's pause over here, and can you go to the next slide? So we can talk about the different types of banks in the market right now. So we can go about 5 different categories. Commercial banks, that's what we all use. It's a public sector banks like State Bank of India. It's private sector banks like HDFC, any other bank that you know of, Standard Chartered, etc. Regional rural banks, these are specifically for agriculture loans. So farmers use a lot of regional rural banks. And foreign banks. So foreign banks are categories. We have currently 46 banks that are based overseas that have branches in India. So the next category is cooperative banks. So this is a different structure than what you know about. We call them credit unions in the US and Europe, and here it's called as cooperative banks. Essentially means that if a bank has 1,000 customers, they own 1,000 of the bank. So all the customers technically own that bank. What that means is if you go to a small village which has 100 farmers, the 100 farmers can come together and set up a rural cooperative bank that addresses the need for their specific loans and deposits and etc. The same thing was done for urban cooperative banks where industrialists came together, entrepreneurs came together to create venture capital loans and all industrial loans specifically for them. Specialized banks were much more recent. They were created by the government of India itself And some examples are NABARD, which is created for agriculture. EXIM is the Export-Import Bank. National Housing Bank was created for like housing projects. SIDBI is the Small Industries Development Bank. Payment banks was introduced in 2014 by the RBI. It is very recent. You would all have known about it. Paytm is a classic example. They don't have a banking license, so they cannot give out loans by themselves. They have to partner like with a bank like SBI to give out loans or issue credit cards. All they can do is have a checking and savings account. So what the role that Payments Bank played is what everybody know about. They helped in creation of mobile applications. So any mobile transaction that you do, the technology came through these payment banks. They were created in the form of fintechs, where they can bring in the technology to create a mobile application where you can do end-to-end transactions all over the phone. You don't have to walk into a bank. Small finance banks is a very niche sector, so they addressed a part of population. So if you go to Assam, Meghalaya, which is like in the middle of the forest, that population was not addressed by any of the banks until then. So they were created specifically to find the underpopulated regions and find a niche population who were not addressed by any of the banks, who could not get any of the banking service. So next, we go back to liberalization. How does the internet play a role in the evolution of the banking industry? There are two sections. If you see, the top section is pretty much what role it played in banks, and the bottom section is how Reserve Bank of India took upon itself to regularize it. So until liberalization, I was talking to my parents about that yesterday. If they wanted to know how much money was in their account, they would take a passbook, go to the bank, and it was not printed, it was written down, and they had to figure out how much amount was there, and they had to decide, okay, I want, say, 50 rupees to be withdrawn from my bank account. They would write a withdrawal slip, give it to them, and the bank teller would go into a huge filing cabinet, pick up a chart which had the signature of that account, matched it against the withdrawal slip, and then give the cash. This whole process happened for withdrawing 50 rupees. So this changed with the evolution of computers. The one big reason technology took part in the growth of financial sector is private banks were more open to accepting new technology. You would have seen, I'm sure a lot of you have accounts in a government bank, how long it takes for a State Bank of India to anything you get done versus like a bank like ICICI. It just takes much longer for a public sector bank to do stuff that's much faster. In ICICI Bank, you can usually do it over the phone fast. So, introduction of private capital also meant that these banks could compete against each other. One day you could get a call from an ICICI customer care if you wanted a loan. The next day you could get a HDFC customer care asking for the same loan with the better rates. So you can compete against for the same amount of customers. That meant that all the banks provided better service to the customers. So if I walk into a bank, I can create a savings account, I can create a checking account. They will also recommend me mutual funds. I can also get my whole life insurance done over there. So everything that's around the financial services, it can be done in one chair with one person. So that provided much easier access than walking into separate branches, spending like one whole day in each branch to get your job done. ATM was introduced by private banks to get your money anytime. Credit cards were also issued because of liberalization, where we are moving towards a cashless economy, which has then morphed into your mobile payments. I was surprised when I came here 5 years back, where Auto had like a QR code and you could just pay using that. That was very new. It happened only in the recent years. Reserve Bank of India. So as a central bank, it is very important that they set up standards, because right now you can transfer money from one branch to another. You can transfer money from one bank to another bank in a different branch. So that means that these two banks have to follow the same standards. Otherwise the data, the format of a data of, say, your account number is first, your amount is next, your branch is third, etc. should be the same format that the recipient also receives. Otherwise they won't be able to translate that information. So Reserve Bank of India set up standards on how computerization should happen. What are the modernization standards? How MICR, magnetic ink character recognition, so that's like the bottom alphanumeric code on your check leaf, how that was created, what are the rules around that. They also set up payment industry standards, so your credit card. ECS is the electronic clearing system. It basically means that if you work in a company, the company gets set up automated rules on how employees get paid in the beginning of, you can set up, say, my 100 employees should be paid 500 rupees on the 5th day of every month, and the system will automatically process that. That's called ECS. Then you have RTGS and NEFT. That's when you transfer money from one account to other. RTGS is for like a minimum of 2 lakhs, and it's meant, it can happen instantaneously. NEFT happens every half an hour for all the transactions that happen during that half an hour period. So it's like a bulk transaction that happens every half an hour. So what are the opportunities and challenges? It's not easy. Earlier, if you want to steal money from a bank, you need to have a gun, or walk into a bank, or rob the lockers. That's the only way you can get some money, and you'll end up with, say, if not in jail, then a few thousand rupees, that's all you'll get. But right now, everything is online. That means that a person sitting in a computer in like Ukraine can earn or hack into the systems across the world in Vietnam and get thousands of crores of rupees immediately. Because your data is accessible not just for your bank, but across the world. Of course, it makes it easier for you to transfer money across the world, but also means that somebody can take your money from across the world. So there is a lot of investment in financial security. So as MBAs, the first thing that you do into your job, you spend 3 months of training on what to do and what not to do so that people don't steal your passwords. Trust me, that's like a long training that happens every month. I have to go through at least 2 hours of cybersecurity training about, like, if somebody calls you and asks you for a password, please don't give. If somebody calls you and asks for OTP, please don't give. And we get those trainings every month because there's always hackers finding out new ways to steal your things. And also, there's another big constraint specifically for India. India is a very large country, similar to China. It has a very diverse population, which is different from China, that we speak very many languages. If you go to a village in, like, even say Madurai or the big cities like Tirunelveli, have a different dialect of Tamil than what you speak in Chennai. So a rural population, like a village around Tirunelveli, may not understand if you speak Tamil from Chennai. So how do we approach that? And technology has played a huge role in having multilingual interfaces. So in a mobile application, you can choose what language. So Google Assistant can understand Tamil right now, which is a big step forward from what it was before. Financial literacy. It is important for people in villages not to get fooled by high interest rate loan sharks, because you would get loan for like 50% interest rate, which is very, very bad for them. It is important for them to know that they can walk into a bank and get a loan for 7% interest rates, and they can pay it over the next 25 years. It's important for them to know that they don't have to like save their money in the form of jewels. They can go and put it in a locker or save that in a mutual fund so that they can get the benefits of inflation and interest rates. So what the government of India did was it partnered with a lot of NGOs and educational institutions and created a lot of learning videos so that people can understand how, step by step, how they can do a transaction on Paytm, how they can use Google Pay, what is a fixed deposit, how can they deposit, what is a PF, how they can use that. At the same time, it also partnered with operators like Airtel, BSNL to set up remotely cell phone towers. So even if you go in the middle of forest, you will get cell phone signal right now, because that's mainly so that it's accessible. This also provides a huge transparency. There's a lot less corruption. You might disagree with that, but there's a lot less corruption now than it was like 30 years back, because the money has to go through the online system and it is trackable. Everybody knows where it came from, where it's going. You have blockchain technology. That's something that everybody would have heard about in newspapers, which essentially reduces money laundering and black money transactions abroad. What blockchain in a short means is, say for example, I as party A buy something from party B, I would send him money, and party B would pay his rent to party C. Party C would deposit that money in a bank in party D. And if the bank's money gets stolen, and if they track it down, the blockchain would tell you where it came from. It will say, okay, D got it from C, got it from B, got it from A. So that means that you cannot give cash to somebody and they cannot deposit it to somebody else's name. That's not possible. So blockchain reduces money laundering especially drug smuggling and black money, and increases the amount of taxes that the government can legally get, and which in turn gets invested back into the economy. So what does that mean in the future? The next 5 years, 10 years, there are several technologies that will play a huge role in your everyday work life. One is banking as a service. So that would mean that a company, a completely private company that has nothing to do with the financial sector like Uber, partners with a bank like State Bank of India to offer a financial product, a vehicle loan, auto loan, to its drivers. So technically, Uber does not have a banking license. RBI has not authorized Uber to issue any financial product, but it can partner with the bank. So that means bank act as a service through a third-party company like Uber. Mobile banking, you don't have to step into a bank anymore. You can do everything end-to-end. Once you want, I think only thing you have to step into a bank to do is your KYC. Once you do that, you don't have to go to a bank anymore. You can do everything either over the phone by calling in customer care or in your mobile application. Especially over the past 2 years, there's a huge investment in this because you don't want people crowding in banks and transferring over. Digital only banks, this is something that's more prevalent abroad. It's just starting to come in India. It's not yet regularized by the RBI. This means that the bank does not have any branch at all. It means the entire bank exists only online. So the bank gets a license for an online license, a digital only license. It may have one headquarters that does not have any customer facing personnel. It's only like finance, HR or sales, everything, all the back end is there, but there's no front end at all. Everything is online. So anything that you want, you would have to call in. Anything that you want to talk to, any transaction that you want to take, you can use mobile applications. So all the money that they save in the form of rent for like setting up branches, in the form of personnel for all the customer tellers and customer facing agents, they invest that in the technology behind the mobile applications, the technology behind good customer service. Open banking and APIs. This is a very confusing term. When I first heard about APIs, everybody was talking about it, nobody understood what it was. API stands for Application Program Interface. What it means is that technology companies like Apple, Google or Amazon can interact with your bank. So you've heard of Google Assistants, Alexa, Siri in your iPhones. So you can tell Siri, pay my water meter today. So what essentially you do is Siri will recognize your voice that is authorized. It will go into your bank account and will automatically pay your water bill for this month. You can tell Siri to pay your electricity bill. You can tell Siri to pay off your home loan interest for that month. Everything will do just by using it. That doesn't mean that Siri is a bank's customer service. It just means that Siri provides a platform and application. So instead of a mobile application, the next version of that is a voice activated application. And that interacts with your bank to do any transaction that you want. So I'm hoping that provides some insight on how the banking industry has evolved, how it started, how technology has improved the growth of it, and how we expect to grow over the next few years. I think Principal, when he was here, he also mentioned what happens behind a credit card transaction. So that's something that's off the slides. Because I work for a credit card company, I thought I'd talk to you about it. So most credit card companies, there are 3 big ones in the world. There's only 3 credit card companies in the world. It's either Visa or MasterCard or American Express. So we work on something called as a 4-party model for Visa and MasterCard and a 3-party model for American Express. American Express is very different, so let's leave that alone separately. It's a very small market. So Visa and MasterCard take up to 90% of the credit card market across the world. So we basically call it as 4 parties. One is the issuer. Issuer means the bank from which you got your credit card. So if you have a HDFC or a Citibank Visa credit card or Citibank MasterCard, that means the HDFC Bank is your issuer. And then you have the merchant. So you go to, say, Saravana stores and you swipe your card. Saravana stores is the merchant. So when you see the card machine, there'll be a sticker on top of it. It might say Monaris, for example. So that Monaris essentially provides that machine where you swipe your card or where you tap your card, like Clover. So those machines are managed by a company called an acquirer. The acquirer would have, say, thousands of merchants, like Sarana stores, like Ratna stores, Pothis, etc. And they would provide these card machines to all of them. And whenever you swipe a card, it first goes to them. And in the middle sits MasterCard or Visa, these are called processors. They would send the transaction through us to the issuer, which is your HDFC bank, and they would ask the bank, does this person have, is he allowed to make this transaction? Does this person have amount of credit limit for this transaction? Does this person have that amount, if it's a debit card, does this person have that amount of money in his account? And the bank would say yes, and then it will go through the processors, it will go to the acquirer, and it will pay the merchant. So sometimes you would say, merchants, na credit card la tikmate. The reason is, when you say, for example, when you buy something for 100 rupees, the merchant, when you swipe a credit card, gets somewhere around 97 rupees. He does not get the entire 100 rupees. The remaining 2 rupees gets spread out across the different people. Some of it goes to your bank, some of it goes to Monaris, some of it goes to processors like Visa, MasterCard. The reason they do it, most of the investment of that money goes into financial technology, like preventing cybercrime, like providing customized products. So you would say, okay, this person is making a lot of home loan payments every month on his card. Can we offer him a better home loan deal? So then the bank would say, okay, this person is making a lot of home loan transaction. We feel that the amount of payments he's making is too high. So then the customer care agent will call you and tell you, we have a better offer for you. So those services are funded by the 2 rupees that you pay, that is taken away from your transaction instead of the merchant. And I think I would like to conclude by one more point that I was talking to HOD sir earlier as well. One big difference that even Principal sir mentioned was, I also mentioned it earlier, is MBA provides an entry ticket to you to get that interview. So you need some direction on what you learn, what do you do on your free time. So you can go online to do, if you search on Google for case studies, say for example you're interested in working in HR. If you go to Google and search for HR case studies, it will give you case studies from across the world, which essentially is a business problem. It will say a company hired 50 people, for example a HR, and 20 people decided to leave the job. As a HR personnel, how would you solve that? And they would give you different parts of the company, what type of role it is, what additional resources you have, what is the job market, etc. So then you have to use the knowledge that you learn in your MBA to solve that problem. And once you do that, once you give your own solution, at the same website wherever you download your case study, there will also be an official handbook on how the professors think those things will be solved. Or you can talk to your professors on, this is what I think the solution is. Do you have any insights on how those solutions are solved? This is a very important thing for any job interview that you go to. Because knowledge that you learn in your MBA is a foundation. I use Google probably 100 times each day at work. Because a lot of things happen so new that you don't know. You search for new news, new information about interest rates. Your job is to use that information that you get from your education, from the internet, and how you use that to solve the problems that you have. So you can practice that using case studies. You can practice that using group projects. Teamwork is another very big thing. Whenever you work in a group project, it doesn't matter who's the leader. Nobody cares. It matters is you are selling yourself on my strengths or financial statements. So if you have a business case, I am very good at financial statements. So give me that portion. I am very good at marketing. Give me that portion. Each person takes upon their what they are good at, comes together and solves the whole problem. That's very, very important because teamwork, case studies, again, are a very big part. If you want to go into a consulting company, that is what you do every day for your life. And they are the biggest earners as well. So thank you for your time. Hopefully you learned something that can play a role when you go to interviews, even in your future career. Thank you again.
Becoming the town market of the global village of tomorrow, we the students of management science are in much more need to know about the technological upgradation of marketing and banking. Thank you so much, sir, for throwing such insights and valuable information on banking system, which will be really helpful for us. Thank you, sir.
And not expressing it is like wrapping a gift and not giving it.
Now I call upon Mr. Neshik of 2nd MBA to give his word of thanks.
that makes us grateful. It's a gratitude that makes us joyful. Good afternoon to the most respected principal sir and distinguished guests, Mr. Sriram Suresh sir, and respected deans, HODs, and beloved faculty members and participants. I am honored to propose vote of thanks in the wonderful session on the one-day international conference. I extend my sincere thanks to Extreme Management on most respected, dynamic, and a man of dedication and epitome of success, Professor Dr. E. Kamalanaban sir, for providing premises to avail the state-of-the-art infrastructure and constant support to conduct this conference successfully. And first, I would like to thank the resource person of today's program, Mr. Sriram Suresh sir, who despite of his busy schedule has found a valuable time with us. Thank you so much, sir. And I would like to thank the head of the Department of MBA, respected Dr. A. Suresh Kumar sir, for bringing in such an eminent, inspiring resource person here for us today. Thank you so much, sir. Then I thank our faculty member for evincing interest in covering the event, and also I thank our coordinator, students, and technical team. And I finally thank my dear friend for your cooperation in making this program successfully. Thank you.